Welcome to Staffing Stories, hosted by Andy Moss. Andy has been in the staffing industry for over 25 years, first as a recruiter, then eventually an account manager and business owner. This is the podcast where we sit down with fellow staffing owners to get the real stories of the successes, the failures, and the lessons learned along the way.
Hi, I'm your guest, Andy Moss with Staffing Stories, and welcome back. I am going to break down kind of behind the scenes look at kind of my business and kind of key points in my career that made significant change in my staffing company. And the two right off the bat were when I joined C12 for a peer group and when I implemented EOS. And I want to talk about EOS today. And my guest, Mr. Bill Brennan, is going to come on. And he is a good friend of mine from down the road in Chattanooga. And Bill is an integrator, or I don't know how you want to say it, Bill, like an EOS implementer. And so he's the one that helps me. And I wanted him to come by because it changed my business. And I know you're out there probably looking for an operation system, looking for a process. And you'll probably find EOS or something like that. But I wanted to kind of introduce Bill, talk about that a little bit. But Bill brings a perspective of this that I love is he ran a staffing agency, grew a staffing agency, and exited a staffing agency. So welcome aboard Staffing Stories, Bill. Introduce yourself.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Andy. Appreciate being here with you today. So Bill Brennan, spent better part of a decade and a half running a staffing organization, initially based out of Mobile, Alabama. Our focus was primarily in the industrial space. So we had a little bit of work that we did more technical oriented, but most stuff we did was considered that commercial staffing world. Okay, so you light industrial, warehouse, manufacturing, that kind of cover the... Yes, correct, exactly. We had the beauty of shipbuilding in Mobile as well, so we had that added benefit of being able to work on water and the additional challenges that brings. Well, when you think about operating systems in a staffing and recruiting agency, I've always said our business is unique. We do some things that are just not, we work for free for most of the time until we make placements, which is odd for most businesses. But when I implemented EOS and we got into that, it just literally opened the door. So introduce us, if you haven't looked at EOS for someone, why should they look at it? And then we'll kind of dig into it a little bit more. Sure. I'd say in the EOS world, we like to mention that industries really are not unique. If you have people in your business, then EOS will work for you. Yeah. And EOS really just a set of simple sort of practical tools that help you to get more of the right stuff done every day. They help you to create a self-managed business, dictating sort of how you plan, how you meet, how you make decisions, how you communicate, really with that end goal of ensuring that you can be as efficient across all of those activities and just make the organization better. I know running my organization, I felt that we were having meetings to have meetings. We kept on talking about the same things. We lost accountability. And when I started my search, I was like, I just needed some guardrails of processes to help me run my business because it was growing at a state that you can't just run on feelings anymore. And that's what I loved about EOS. And, I'll see my book of Traction. Well worn. I got another one for you if you'd like. Yeah, well, I mean, it's already bookmarked with everything in it. So it's I keep referring back. But implementing it is not easy. And so kind of talk to us a little bit about if you're searching for that, what would be your first steps? Yeah, and implementing is not easy. I would agree 100%. We say in the EOS world that the tools may be simple and practical, but that doesn't mean that they're easy. It does take a level of dedication and commitment, as you've seen yourself.
There are a range of different options available for someone looking to implement EOS, from self-implementation through to utilizing the services of an implementer. And if you're picking an implementer, it's often a 2-year journey that you're on. So you got to make sure you like the person, right? I mean, you're going to be spending a significant amount of time with somebody. There's got to be a good personal connection there. And I think that is first and foremost a key step.
Well, for me, it was that way, but also I wanted someone that understood staffing and recruiting. That's why I gravitated to you. And I needed a foundational kind of like, okay, we're all talking about the same plan, and you understand what I'm trying to get at. And I know there was other implementers that I've talked to that were great guys, but they couldn't speak the language that the recruiting and staffing world had, or understood my pains of what I was trying to accomplish.
Sure, and that absolutely factors into things, or can be a factor for someone looking to choose an implementer. Right? There's obviously an opportunity where when someone knows the language that you speak, the challenges that you're going to encounter, they can perhaps help speed the process along a little bit more rapidly.
Now, when you started your EOS journey, did you use it in your recruiting and agency, or did this come to you afterwards?
I first picked up the book Traction in 2010.
Okay.
So I've been around EOS for 13 years or thereabouts now. And, we utilized it within a couple of the companies that I've run. And I firmly believe in all of the tenets. They just help make you better as an organization, strengthening those 6 key components of your business.
Is there a certain size organization that's too small or too big?
No, I would say the sweet spot, we say between 10 and 250 employees is really the number that we put on things. But oftentimes it's just as important that you've got a leadership team that is open and honest and willing to be vulnerable with themselves and everybody else around them. Because frankly, that component of things, that healthy organizational component of things, is often overlooked. And I think it was Patrick Lencioni that talked about organizations needing to be healthy and smart. And all too often, we spend our time on getting smart being how we do what we do, how we build the widget, how we get more effective and efficient. We don't spend enough time on the healthy component of things. How do we have this open and honest dialogue so that we can tackle our issues, make them go away, and not have them come back to revisit us every couple of months?
Yeah, that's the treadmill that I was on early in my career. And it was just, man, we just tackled this 6 months ago. Why are we talking about it again? And
yes.
then also building in accountability with my management staff to own something. Yeah, that's your rock. You own it. Let's get it off the board. And that was something new that changed the way my management staff started thinking about.
Sure. When we talk about EOSI or EOS implementation, when we work with leadership teams, we like to say we make them better at 3 things. The first is the vision component of things. And, that's all about getting you 100% on the same page with where you're going and how you're going to get there. Yep. Second piece is the traction component of things. And that's where we're taking that vision, we're bringing it down to the ground, and we're instilling that level of discipline and accountability throughout the entire organization. So everywhere you go, you see people executing on that vision. The third piece being that healthy piece that I just mentioned before, and the importance of making sure that, your team is working together, open, honest, cohesive, functional.
And I hope everybody understands that, I am passionate about staffing and recruiting, but when I look back at some of the great things that I did, some of the mistakes that I made, again, when I joined my peer group, C12 was a monumental moment of my business to help me. And then also when I implemented the Traction, the EOS system, and that's why I'm taking time on this podcast to kind of share that, because I know there are individuals out there that are listening and seeing this that are on the same journey I was. They're like stuck in a rut. My company won't grow. I keep doing $1 million, or I keep doing 5 million, or I keep doing 10 million. And man, as soon as you implement something like this, everybody starts running the same direction, which is awesome. So let's pick your brain a little bit about your background in staffing and recruiting. Tell me one of the best days in your career that just brings a smile to your face. And on the other end, what's one of the worst days?
Okay, I'm a pessimist by nature, so I'll start us with the worst thing first. And I say that jokingly, and truly this was an awful moment for us. We had a loss of life. We had sent a crew out to Puerto Rico after one of the hurricanes had come through. And basically the crew that we had out there was not working. They were on break, not even on break, excuse me. It was on a weekend, and the gentleman had gone out swimming, got caught in an undertow and drowned and died.
Wow.
And so without a doubt, my worst day was having to have that conversation with his parents, with our team internally, with our clients. It was a really, really rough experience.
It's sad to ever hear someone passing away, but that's got to rock your company a little bit.
Absolutely. And we've always tried to take that approach of taking care of our people and doing what we can to not have them feel as though they are just a number.
Yep.
It was a really heart-wrenching experience, and don't wish it on anybody.
And we won't keep.
Yeah. So
let's do nice stuff.
On the flip side, the positive side of things, there's so many different things that sort of crop up. I would say one of the items that is taking what I believe could be perceived as a negative turned into a positive was the BP oil spill. And for us organizationally, we were 3 years into business when this occurred. We were sort of right at ground zero. And as much of a disaster as obviously everybody knows that it was, BP did at the time go over the top to try to make sure that they got beaches cleaned up, that they got communities back together. They really did seem to be working hard to try to mitigate damage at that point. And we were one of the fortunate sort of opportunity that presented itself for us was in putting hundreds of people to work for BP to help clean up the beaches. So that was a positive, I thought.
When you think about a Katrina, BP oil spill, I mean, some of the natural disasters that have happened, a lot of businesses have been created from that and have grown, or you tend to grow up quick through something like that.
Yes, we cut our teeth in a lot of that environmental services world. And if I could talk about, a staffing business getting away from their core focus and some of the challenges that brings about, I was a perfect example of a shiny new thing guy. Every 90 days, I found a new shiny thing that I thought was, wow, this is the next thing we should implement, or the next piece of business that we should chase. Never really thinking, what is the impact on our operations, our recruiting structure? What is the impact on the sales structure, on the back office, on our ability to recruit? So I oftentimes got us so far outside of what our core focus had been that I think I caused a lot more problems than I did good, really.
Yeah. Well, that's sometimes the visionary hat we wear. I was telling my staff today, I was like, I can throw a bunch of stuff on the wall and one or two of them will stick. They'll be good, but there's a lot of things that don't stick. So it's just part of our DNA. So
yes.
So let's talk a little bit about, because I know some individuals have this in the back of their head as exit strategy. What do I need to do to prepare for an exit? Was this something that you kind of saw in the distance to say, here's an opportunity for me to exit out? Or walk me through your thought process, how all that came about, if you don't care.
Sure. So I actually had two separate exits for what that's worth. The first was sort of a thought process of take some chips off the table, one, and two, the belief that I could sell parts of the whole for more than the whole itself. Effectively, going into the due diligence process by saying that, okay, back office is staying with me, you guys, and so therefore this component of price or of cost is excluded. You've got to figure out sort of what your back office cost is going to be and factor that into however the multiple is created. So I think that worked for me, doing it separately. But the first exit was really geared from having moved from Mobile to Chattanooga, and the locations that were still down on that I-10 corridor from Houston to Jacksonville, I just didn't want to travel to anymore. I wanted to be able to spend more time with my family, kids, sports and those types of things. So that was a big driver for me. The second time around is after there had been much more implementation on the EOS component of things. And I can't help but think the structure that we had in place is partially what attracted a strategic buyer time too. This was one of the online platforms, and ultimately we were the first brick and mortar locations that they purchased. So it was their first foray into buying a location, buying a customer base, buying an employee base. So I have to attribute the self-managed business that I think EOS helps create that attracted them to us in the first place.
Well, any business, you have to think about, you got to integrate operations, you have to integrate cultures. And if you have something established that you can point to say, hey, this is the way we run, I would bet there's a 50-50 chance the acquirer or somebody knows that or knows of it, if they're not using it already, to say, this is going to be easy because we're stalking the same.
Yeah, they were really good at software, really good at building the technology component of things. I think they recognized we were really good at the operational component.
Well, that's it. It's a fascinating story. And, with, things that I know my staffing and recruiting company benefited from it is the reason that I asked you to be on this. And I believe it wholeheartedly that, if you implement it, talk to the right people, you're going to do right. So when we release this, we'll tag you in LinkedIn and stuff. You can find you. Is there any other email address that, if someone wants to shoot you something, but we'll have it in the headings of our broadcast?
Yeah. Bill.Brennan at EOS Worldwide.
All right. So I always end my guest with one question. If you're streaming a movie right now or a TV show on Amazon, Hulu, whatever, what is it?
My wife and I just started watching the G League. Have you seen any of that? It's a documentary on these basketball players coming up through the developmental leagues to try to get to the NBA. Nice. So we've been in that kick of late. The documentary, the one just before that, which is fascinating, one of my favorites ever, Tour de France.
Oh,
watch
really?
That documentary. It's amazing.
Yeah, I think both those are on Netflix.
Yes, I believe so. Correct.
Yeah, Netflix is the best. But I appreciate you coming on board, putting yourself in the hot seat, and being able just to introduce yourself. And again, I apologize for taking a moment of self, what I did, my business, but I believe in it so much that I wanted to share. And if you haven't read a book, read Traction, read Get a Grip, and that'll be the best start you can make.
We love raving fans, Andy. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Thanks for being on board.
All right. Cheers.
Thanks for tuning into the episode. Staffing Stories is brought to you by 3D-IQ. We are the future of staffing sales. Our solutions are designed to supercharge your sales and 3x placements, all without ever leaving Bullhorn. Direct market, deliver talent, and drive sales with our all-in-one tool designed for the modern recruiter. Visit 3diq.com/stories to learn more. Find Staffing Stories on LinkedIn, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts.